It's 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 19th, and we're in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and this is, well, Saturday Night Live with CarEdge. And your hosts tonight are, as always, Ray and Zach. I might be Ray. That could be Zach, a.k.a. Data Man.
Come on. You know I want to get it right into the numbers because here's the deal, folks. No one's talking about what we're about to discuss. And it is, unfortunately,
there could be a reason.
I think
yeah.
It is the ugly truth, the real reason why car prices will crash. I'm not saying when they're going to crash, but the reason they will crash. Dad, we're going to kick things off right here. TransUnion Vice President, more used buyers start with negative equity. The TLDR tonight, folks, is that the amount of negative equity that in-market car buyers have is through the roof, and it is going to hold them back from purchasing a new vehicle, and that will, in turn, ultimately drive down prices because so many people are going to be taken out of the market. And let me quantify this for all of you right here. In the first quarter of this year, used car borrowers had on average almost $9,000 in negative equity at origination, according to J.D. Power and TransUnion study released in June. This came out in June, and shame on me, shame on us. We weren't talking about it loud enough. $9,000 in negative equity, Dad.
Yeah.
Let me go on my soapbox for a minute here. The average transaction price for a used vehicle, the average listing price, I should say, is $27,028. And last time I checked, the average APR, interest rate for a used car loan, Dad, is 13.76%.
Yeah.
Let's start doing a little bit of math right here. Just a little bit, not too much.
Before you do the math, I know you have already proclaimed 2 minutes into the show that the prices are going to crash.
They will collapse. When? I have no clue, but they will, because what I'm about to show you is a startling and striking reality for consumers nationwide, and I saw it firsthand when I was at the dealership over the past couple weeks. We did the CarEdge sales event. It was a huge success, but I heard this in the dealership, Dad.
Yes.
I heard customers coming in trying to buy a car, and they had $15,000 in negative equity. You know what they did? They walked out because at the end of the day, no matter how much we preach, you're going to have your soapbox. Give me a second. No matter how much we preach out the door price.
Yeah.
We've got a free out the door price calculator back on CarEdge.com.
Thank God for
no matter
that,
how
they
much
couldn't afford to pay for it.
No matter how much we preach out the door price, that at the end of the day, we are payment buyers. Most folks are payment buyers.
Yeah.
So let's do a little bit of math.
Before you do the math.
All right.
Okay. So, the last 2 weeks, you spent a lot of time in dealerships.
I have.
And you've heard that people are upside down. Well, I spent 43 years in dealerships. And, 43 years ago, people were upside down. They're always upside down.
But let's start to quantify the amount of upside down, Ted. We're talking about an average listing price for a used car at $28,000, and we're saying that $9,000 is the average amount upside down. And to be clear, what does upside down mean? For those of you who might be unfamiliar, that means if you went in to buy a car and you wanted to sell your car to the dealership as part of that transaction, let's imagine that you owe $20,000 on that loan, and the dealer only offers to buy that car from you for $11,000. You have a $9,000 gap that someone somewhere needs to make up. And typically what people do is they roll that into their next loan. That's called being upside down or in negative equity or underwater, correct?
Yeah, that's the terms for it, yeah.
We are talking about that. Folks are 3 to 1 negative, or 1/3 negative equity on the average transaction price of the vehicle they're looking to purchase. The impact on payments at a 13.76% interst rate. This is what you used to do your customers to get them to. That you wouldn't let them get a word in edgewise. At 13.76%. If you have never watched our role play videos, watch them, because my dad, when he's the customer and I'm the salesperson, he never lets me say a word. At 13.76% interest rates, Dad.
Yes.
The math don't math. Let's do an example here. Let's do an example.
No, absolutely.
We're here in Atlantic City, so the car search, CarEdge.com for the car search. Let's find one that's around the average. Why are Escalades so expensive?
Because they're Escalades.
Let's find it. Okay, I don't really want to do a Corvette because that's not it. Here we go. A Buick Encore GX.
Yeah.
$25,999 used car.
Yes.
All right, so let's go down. Let's look at the payment calculator, Dad. And the reason I want to look at the payment calculator is because I want to factor in the other criteria that we've been talking about. Listing price is $25,999, but my out the door price with taxes and fees is going to be closer to $28,500. I'm going to put no money down because I'm the average consumer, and I'm going to put no money down. Most folks will start with 5 years, but we're going to extend that out. We said the average loan term was 13.76. My trade payoff, let's use the example I just used, is $20,000. But my trade allowance is $11,000.
Well, why even use a trade?
Because we're demonstrating the $9,000.
What if they didn't have a trade?
Most people have a trade. Most people are in this negative equity situation, Dad.
No, but the statistics that you're quoting are talking about when the folks originated the loan. The day they took out the loan, they were $9,000 negative.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that the $9,000 came from trade negative equity. It could be $9,000 came because, well, there was profit in the car, there's fees, and the people didn't put any damn money down.
Okay. Well, do you want to argue with me that people have $9,000 in negative equity that they're rolling over? Yes or no?
No.
Yeah. So people are still going to have $9,000. However you want to frame it up here.
Well,
Dad.
I'm just saying, Zach, take out the trade altogether, and if you put and at 20, if they're financing 28.5, there's probably about $9,000 of negative equity the moment they sign that contract.
Totally. Not to mention the fact
so you don't need to roll in any other negative equity and make it, I don't know, $18,000 of negative equity.
But a lot of people are walking into that deal, Dad, with $9,000 additional dollars in negative equity.
Well, then wouldn't it be that at origination they were at $18,000 negative? The statistics you were quoting.
In the first quarter, used car borrowers had on average almost $9,000 in
at the time they
equity.
signed the loan.
Okay, well, we can pull up the other Edmunds data from Q4 of last year that shows that the average amount underwater is close to $6,000, which has likely continued to go up.
But I'm just saying, at the today's average transaction prices with tax, title, doc fee, and everything else, that they're already $9,000 negative the moment they sign for the loan, because the car that they're buying for 26 is probably worth 20.
Okay, yes, that's also a fair point.
That's all I'm trying to say.
I was on a roll, and you cut me off.
I'm just trying to save you.
You're not saving me from
I'm
anything,
trying
Dad.
to save you.
What do you mean you're trying
And
to save
I hope
me?
to God, those folks that are $9,000 negative at loan origination have gap insurance.
But the other reality, Dad, is people that have trade-ins, because there's two
but
other things happening right now, Dad. Wholesale used car values are going down like a boat anchor, man.
Okay.
And people who bought cars 2-3 years ago and paid over MSRP are underwater.
I'm not saying they're not.
So humor
You're
me for a moment.
conflating all this.
I'm not conflating it.
Okay.
I'm demonstrating the two in action with one another, which is the reality for most people in the market right now,
Well,
Dad. How many people bought cars over the past 2 years? How many people bought cars? 30 million.
Do you
New
think?
cars.
Do you think at $25,999, and the customer doesn't put any money down, and the F&I manager is pretty good at what they do, and I don't know, they bought a $4,000. That's where the negative's coming from at time of loan origination. That's what they're talking about there. Now there are cases where people are rolling negative equity from their current car into their new car. But even if they didn't have a trade with negative equity, between what they get sold in finance and how much profit they're paying the dealer for that used car, that's where the real negative equity comes from without a trade.
Okay, so humor me.
Yes.
And what about if people have a trade too?
Then it's worse.
Okay, and how many of your customers typically had trade-ins? Did most of them or not most of them?
More than half.
Okay, so humor me.
Yeah.
Let me stay on my tracks for a second here.
Okay.
I'll lower the number, Pops.
You don't have to lower the number.
My point that I want to make to you here
Yeah.
is that if your monthly payment's this,
Yes.
the moment people start to have this math equation happen, which is the dealer offers them for their trade-in, all up at that $15,000, but they still owe $22,000 on the loan. The payment just went up to $823
Yeah, because they're financing an extra $7,000
on 13.76% APR.
I get all that.
That, Dad,
Yeah.
that is the leading indicator for why car prices will collapse eventually. Because that math for most consumers, look at what this car payment just did. Look at what this car payment just did.
You know, we've been talking about that for years.
It went from $661,
to
Dad,
$880, to $820. Yeah.
on a
$120
on a
difference.
5-year note.
I get it.
That's gonna have someone walking out of the dealership saying, "I'm good. I'm good."
No, they're not going to say I'm good. They're going to say I can't afford it. They're not really good because they want to get out of the piece of poo that they're already in. Okay, and that's why people try to trade out of cars that they have negative equity in, because they didn't like the car, or they don't like the car, or it no longer fits their needs.
There's a flywheel. Okay, this industry operates on a flywheel. And we're going to hit on the other piece, which is the loan to value ratio. This industry operates on a flywheel.
Yes.
People buy cars,
Yes.
and then they trade them in, and they buy another new car.
That's
and
the
then
hope.
they trade it in, and then they
Yeah.
buy another new car.
That's
and
the
then
hope.
They trade it in, and they buy another new car. Right?
Thank you for that.
That
I wasn't
flywheel.
aware of that.
All I'm trying to demonstrate, Pops,
Yes.
is that this breaks the flywheel. This breaks the flywheel as long as it 100%
It
does.
hasn't.
But it will eventually, man.
Oh my God. When is eventually? Is eventually 150 years from now? Yeah, you could say it will eventually. There's still enough people in the market that A, aren't buried, B, aren't proud possessors of that much negative equity, and C, have the ability to continue to buy cars. Negative equity has been an issue in the automobile industry as long as I can remember. From the day I first got into the business, there was always, oh, you have a trade? Great. What do you owe on the trade? Oh, you owe that. Well, you know, it's not worth that. I mean, that's been around since there's been cars and financing. That's not going anywhere. And that's not going to cause the industry to suddenly say, oh my God, prices got to come way down, because there's enough fools out there that still have money. That's what the problem's been. Okay. The problem.
Well, you know the other problem, Dad? The other problem.
Yes.
At its root, the other problem is actually this. Because I hear you saying fools with money, but let's look at some data. You know me, I'm the data guy.
You are data man.
This comes from that same S&P, Global Mobility, TransUnion, JD Power, all that stuff.
Yes. The thing
New
that
cars?
scared me about that other thing, if I may,
Yeah,
since you
okay.
ranted on it for an hour and a half, the thing that scared, it seemed like an hour, it felt like an hour and a half to me because I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and you know how that impacts me. But the thing that scared me was loan to value keeps creeping back up.
That's what
that was at 140%, and in a lot of cases, they were doing. The subprime lenders were doing upwards of 125% on people that they know don't pay well.
Yeah, so here, let's pull that up. What's the trend for loan to value ratios? Again, this is the vice president from TransUnion. There are more and more loans on the used side being originated at higher loan to value. On the subprime side, there's a pretty substantial number of loans that recently have been originated at 125% at buy-in, where they're coming in at high negative equity just off the bat. So
that's the scary part.
It's super scary. I know we've done this for those of you who have been a part of the channel for a while. You've heard this, but let's talk about it. Loan to value ratio is if the car is worth $10,000, the bank's willing to lend up to, if it's 125%, $12,500.
Just start with that first paragraph in that article, or the second paragraph, that at loan origination, the average customer is $9,000 underwater. That means $9,000 of the loan is unsecured at origination. So if they were financing 28.5, it means, like, I don't know, they had collateral for 20,000 of that 28.5, and the rest is good faith.
So what happens, Dad? What happens when consumers stop getting approvals and they can't even get the approvals for that 13.76% interest rate? What happens? Let's go back to the most basic construct in economics: supply and demand.
Yes.
What happens? What happens when you can't get bought? When I say can't get bought, the paper can't get approved for someone to get a loan on that vehicle at 125%, 130%.
Somebody else that will come in and buy it.
So you think think the demand side is there forever in perpetuity?
For the most part, yes.
I don't see it, man. I
don't know. I've lived through it for 43 years.
But this math, I mean, the fact
I understand what you're trying to say. I really do. What you're trying to conclude is almost a logical conclusion where you say at a certain point, this can't continue.
Thank you.
Okay. And we keep saying that, but people keep making more money. And there's more than enough people out there to substitute for the people who no longer can afford to do things. For 43 years, I dealt with people that had a dream. And the dream was to get out of the piece of crap that they were driving and get into something else. Well, a lot of those people couldn't fulfill their dreams. But there was somebody else that did, that could, which is why the dealerships, kept selling cars. Yes, probably the percentage of people who will find themselves having a dream that cannot come true, the percentage of those people is probably going up a certain degree. Is it a large enough percentage to materially impact sales going forward? That's the question that you can't answer, I can't answer, but you would think, using your logic, which is logical, that at a certain point, that percentage becomes so large that it does impact the industry. And I think the two leading indicators for why it has the potential to would be interest rates and trade-in values. And so what are the trends we're currently seeing in interest rates? Higher interest rates and lower trade-in values.
Which then just puts you in a position where everything that we're describing gets magnified, gets even more volatile, because those two things drive payments up.
But what neither one of us has a real idea of is what that percentage has to be for it to actually have hit a tipping point.
Yeah.
And I think,
do we need 1 million people out of the market? Do we need 500,000 people out of the market? Do we need 10 million people out of the market?
But I think whatever that number is, whatever the percentage of buyers that have to be, I think it's going to take so long to ever get to that point.
That I could buy into.
Okay. So yes, if you want to sit here and say, well, because of this, this, and this, there's going to be a crash in prices in 2049, you might be on to something. Okay. But let me just, to give people false hope that looking at this data, we're going to see a crash soon, that ain't happening. I don't see that happening. Okay.
Define soon. Year?
I don't see it happening in a year. Because there's still a shortage of used cars. And until that shortage is solved,
which is a decade from now,
prices are going to continue to remain high. And there'll be enough people, apparently, that can still afford that. Now, I agree with you. At some point, there will be a crash. At some point, there has to be a major correction.
Major correction. Yeah.
When that, I'm 72. I'd like to live to 90.
Really?
I think so. Just in case, just in case either one of my children decide to have children.
I would love for you to live to 90.
Okay. Just in case either one of my children decide that they want to have children, I would like to be able to spend at least, 2 or 3 years with them. So from 87 to 90, because I don't think either one of you is going to do anything in anytime soon. So, I'd like to be able to at least get 2 or 3 years in with those grandkids and spoil them rotten and ruin them for life. So yeah, I'd like to live to 90, but I don't think that major correction happens in my lifetime.
Really?
I really don't. And I think because of that vast shortage of used cars. I think the perfect example of it would be Cuba, where, they ran out of cars a long time ago. So what do? They just keep rebuilding all those Chevys and Fords and everything else from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Super interesting.
Okay? Because that's all they have. So, how long is that? Is it going?
Let me pull up this comment.
Okay.
Because I think this actually builds your case. From Florida Man, long time.
Yes, which, as I said, was a great limited series on whatever
Zach,
streaming.
the problem you're using is you're using logic.
Yes.
The people overpaying and underwater don't share your logic. There is zero thought put into the buying process.
Exactly.
That I think is super rational and fair.
Yes, and the perfect example of that was something you and I were discussing prior to going on air, which is I received an email from somebody today who recently, I think it was August 1st, got himself a Outback XT. It had an MSRP of like $45,000, and he had a Jeep with equity that he traded in, and he didn't buy it because the purchase payments were too high, so he leased it. He wanted to know if he got a good deal. So he sends me the paperwork to review it. He didn't use the logic of saying, let's review this deal before I sign it. Okay, he did something illogical.
Yeah.
And he went ahead and he closed himself on a payment using $6,000 of equity from his trade. Okay, signing for a 36-month lease at 10,000 miles a year, agreeing to a $1,495 service contract on a vehicle that will be under warranty the entire time that he has it.
Yeah.
So your problem is you're using logic and buyers don't.
I would just like to say that the business we have built are consult calls. We have
Get
a dozen. Before you do. Yeah. We've got a dozen former finance managers, salespeople. Go to CarEdge.com. Like, this is what we help with. So maybe I think what's happening, Dad, is I see more of the people who do apply logic to the car buying process.
And we need more.
And they represent the vast minority.
Oh, absolutely.
Of consumers.
That's what makes the car industry work. That's why car dealerships get away with all the stuff that they get away with.
It's because most people don't apply logic.
They don't
understand it.
They get emotionally invested. I can't. The question I ask myself when I get these emails is, why do you want me to tell you made a mistake? Why don't you come to me before you make the mistake? Why do you want me to be the bad guy and go, well, I hope you love that vehicle, okay? Because, you got taken advantage of, okay? You didn't get a discount on the car. They took all your equity and they applied it as a cap cost reduction. They kept your payment artificially high. They screwed your ass, okay? They nailed you to the desk. and then you want to send me an email. Did I do okay? I don't know. Did you feel any pain? If you didn't feel any pain, then you did okay. What do people want me to say? Why do you get in touch with us after you've done this to yourself? I mean, why? That was my rant.
Nice to see Brandon here with us. Oh man, Dad. Okay, but one other piece to this puzzle.
Yes.
One other piece to this puzzle.
Yes, and there are pieces to the puzzle. And the biggest piece of this puzzle is educating
right?
people out there so they don't keep doing this.
Completely agree. The other factor,
yes.
If a consumer doesn't want to educate themselves, banks are enabling this behavior.
Well, they're making money.
Somehow, some way. That seems to be the driving force in all of this.
Yeah.
We're back to that interview with the TransUnion vice president.
I mean, poor Wells Fargo. They keep paying out billions of dollars in fines.
But somehow they make money.
But somehow they've got the money to pay those fines. Go figure.
How do loan-to-value ratios impact payment habits? This is the response. For those consumers who actually gained some equity, or at least their used car depreciated at a lower rate, their loan-to-value position improved. They went delinquent at a far, far lower rate than a consumer who originated at 140-plus loan-to-value ratio, and then the value of the vehicle depreciated more rapidly, which is, again, what we are seeing now more than before. It stands to reason that a consumer might come on tough times and their car might be worth less and they may not be able to pay the loan. We see this materializing in loan delinquency rates, which are back over pre-pandemic highs, the highest they've been for some segments of borrowers, cohorts of borrowers like subprime, since the Great Recession, as far back as 20 years in the Cox Auto data.
And yet the subprime lenders are lending 125% of loan to value. When in the past, they would say to those people, we need participation from you. We'll finance 90% of the loan value of the vehicle, including taxes and tags. So you've got to come up with taxes, tags, and 10% of the value of the vehicle on top of that.
And now they're doing 125%. What surprised you most about this study? We looked at a bunch of loans originated from Q1 2018 to Q1 2022. What we found was that even when somebody originated at 125 loan to value ratio and they are below prime consumer, if their monthly payment was lower, then they were going to perform better on the loan. In this case, the long-term loans helped alleviate the payment for the consumer. Then we found it's not across the board. Other tiers, like more prime borrowers, perform worse with a long-term loan. For certain borrowers, maybe it's a good idea to extend the terms or think about some way to extend the term because it helps manage the payment. We are turning this entire society into, I mean, look at back on
and that's website. The worst advice you can give somebody. Just keep extending the term.
Absolutely the worst advice. We have on our website, when you're on a vehicle detail page, the monthly payment calculator.
Yes.
We go all the way up to, begrudgingly, we go all the way up to 96 months.
Yeah.
Because yes, in this case, with your $7,000 in negative trade equity, your out the door price of $28,568, and your average, because you're not above or below, your average 13.76% interest rate.
And well, your $35,568,000 that you have financed.
Okay, I can afford a $613 a month payment. That is the worst. That is absolutely the worst decision that you can possibly make, and terrible advice. Do not just extend the term to make it more
because
reasonable.
I don't know how to break it to somebody that does that. But you're the guy or gal who, I don't know, 3 years into your 8-month loan, eight-year loan, are going to go, man, this is really a piece of crap. Or, oh, I'm really tired of this car. I need to get something different. And you can't, and you won't be able to. And you're going to want to know, oh, those damn car dealers. And it wasn't just the car dealer. It was you, because you agreed to do it, because you concentrated on your monthly payment. Okay, which is exactly what a car dealer wants you to do. All they want you to think about is your monthly.
Look at this comment, Deb, from Robert. What happened to credit counseling customers with bad credit instead of putting them in a 72-month loan?
Well, I guess that's gone by the wayside.
Because
that's what we used to try to do.
This is TransUnion. Yeah. All right. So one of the credit bureaus coming out and saying, well, maybe what you should do is extend your term.
So you can get that lower payment, so that if you're not going to default, say, within the first 2 years, you'll default within, I don't know, from year 2 to 4.
Sean says 10-year car loans. We've seen 10-year car loans. They've popped up. Some credit unions offer 10-year notes.
Yes. It's crazy. It's just crazy stuff.
Let's come here to the chat from Sterling Lee.
Thank you, Sterling Lee.
Appreciate the contribution. I'm in the market for a Chevy 1500 3.0 diesel for a traveling sales job in Texas and New Mexico oil fields. I wanted to know what y'all think about new versus used. I'll be driving 50,000 miles a year.
Well, if you get a new one, at least for 9 months of the year, you'll be under warranty.
Okay, that was the first thought going through my head as well. Do I really want to? Because used car prices, no matter
are way too high.
Yeah, no matter how much we see, and I instigate these.
Yes.
Wholesale values are down a lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Retail values not nearly anything.
But on the new car side, you actually do have an increase of inventory and manufacturer participation. One of the drivers for why wholesale used car prices were down so much last week was because manufacturers are starting to increase new vehicle incentives. I'm going new car. I'm having my bumper-to-bumper warranty for 9 months, and I'm having my powertrain warranty, which I think on a Chevy is, 8 years, 100,000 miles, something like that?
5 years, 60.
Yeah, it could be 5 years, 60.
Yeah.
I'm taking the new vehicle and the new warranty, and I'm taking any type of manufacturer participation plus dealer discount I can get. I'm not going used.
And if you can find yourself a good, reasonably priced, and I know where you might be able to find one, vehicle service contract.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be driving 50,000 miles a year, I don't want to be. You go to CarEdge.com and go to what is it? Free data.
CarEdge. See.
Under resources.
Resources.
Free data.
Free data.
Okay, and then plug in the type of vehicle you're looking at, and this will spit out what you could expect in the way of maintenance and other costs.
Man, you're everywhere, man.
I am like horse poop. Well, before the Model T, I was like horse poop. Now I'm just like dog poop.
Yeah, here's your expected maintenance costs.
These are the things people need to look at when they have this question. And don't get mad at me when I say that.
I know.
When I say this, but we don't direct people to this enough. You paid a lot for this information. It's great information, and this should be first and foremost at what people. When I was helping your sister and your brother-in-law get their car, I came here. We looked at RAV4, CX5, did the comparisons so we could figure out what would make the most sense, which has the least amount of depreciation, which has the least amount of expected cost of maintenance. These are the things you need to look at, and we don't highlight that enough.
Again, resources, go to the homepage, CarEdge.com, go to resources, go to free data. And then on the free data, you can choose a make and model up here on the top right. You can do all the rankings.
It gives you everything you'd ever want to know. And it's free. It's free. It's free. And part of what we said the problem is education, the education piece. That's part of the education piece. People need to utilize tools that they have available to them at no cost, so that they can make a better, more informed decision. Because that's what this all boils down to.
Remember, I was talking about the flywheel. I guess in reality, what I hope happens is that the flywheel stops sooner so that there's a reset so that things are more reasonable. And you're betting on the flywheel is not going to stop anytime soon. And I get why you're saying that, because these mega corporations, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars flows through this system. The last thing they want to have happen is a reset.
When was the last time that there was really a major slowdown, other than COVID, for
auto sales
for 4 months? A major slowdown that caused people to really reevaluate what they were doing.
07?
08, 09, yeah, the Great Recession.
Yep.
Okay. And the car business struggled. Retail automotive struggled, and then along came cash for clunkers. And I see a lot of the comments. Well, one of the reasons we don't have a lot of good quality used cars is cash for clunkers. Well, I can tell you every damn clunker we took in trade needed to be destroyed. Okay, it was just the biggest piece of crap you ever saw in your life, and people got a lot of money for their and it helped spur sales and started getting things moving again.
The flywheel.
So I don't see another reset coming unless there is another major economic downturn of that type of proportion.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I heard you so loud and clear, and so did Diaper Money.
Yeah.
Damn, dude thinks him getting grandkids is more likely than a crash.
No, I think the crash could happen first. I said I'm 72. If I have grandkids by the time I'm 87, I think I'll be pretty happy at this point, because I don't see anybody making the moves necessary to have that happen. I'm not putting any pressure.
We're not having grandkid talk on the live stream. Let's go here to Memo.
People might like that.
People might like that. From Memo.
Yeah.
Will 10-year car loans be the new norm within the next 5 years?
I hope not, but more than likely, yes.
I think they will.
Yeah.
I think you're my 2 cents. Yeah. You're either going to see 10-year notes become the new normal, or you're going to see a huge marketing push for new type of innovative leases,
micro
leasing, like
6 to 12 month leases,
Yeah,
which is
a rental
car,
which is a rental car.
Okay, but yeah, because they'll
It's the
have
only way to
to
make the payments work.
well, they'll have to invent a way to be able to continue to sell vehicles and move the metal. And 10-year loans, even though people would sign up for them, 10-year loans isn't good because people don't want to keep their cars 10 years. And truth be told, the manufacturer doesn't want you to keep, and your dealer certainly doesn't want you to keep your car 10 years. So unless prices come down or something, but I mean, remember that 85% of all buyers are payment buyers.
Yeah.
Well, what's going to appeal to those payment buyers? Lower payments. And they don't care if it means a longer term as long as they have the lower payment.
Yeah. I like this. Auto timeshares.
Could be.
It's kind of where we're going.
Florida man, you're laughing, but that could be.
Yeah, really, really could. All right, let's switch gears. I hope
fractional ownership.
Yeah, you want a fractional ownership of a car. That's truly the direction that we're headed. All right, Dad, let's switch gears. I want to talk about one thing that we've been talking about a little bit. It's been recent. Over at Toyota.
Yes.
Okay, how do I want to cue this up? So we're coming off of multiple years of confusion around what is the manufacturer suggested retail price. The dealer says there's this additional markup on it or this additional fee. Now there is new confusion happening, Dad. Community members across our community have shared this with us. Toyota dealers and Toyota, the manufacturer, they're starting to introduce new terms.
Yes.
This is the second one I've seen.
Yeah.
This is on a Toyota Tundra. It's not MSRP, Dad.
Yes.
It's TSRP. We also saw a dealer advertising just SRP.
Yeah.
This is a public service announcement. If you see SRP, TSRP, these are just manufacturer suggested retail price. Unfortunately, they're getting confusing. This is now the total suggested retail price. I want to come out loud and clear.
Yes.
I want your responses.
Yes.
I hate the idea of the government getting more involved. I want to be very clear. I'm not for government regulation on things. I am all for just how Senator Monroney came around and brought the window sticker to be. Yeah. Someone needs to step up in government and say, it's MSRP. It's just MSRP.
And don't be changing the terminology.
Don't change it. Because this has happened recently, and my Instagram DMs, my TikTok DMs, and my Gmail account are full of people saying, Zach, can I negotiate SRP or TSRP? What happened to the MSRP? It's just confusing people.
Yes. Yeah, no, it should be, Toyota should not on their Monroney labels have TSRP. Okay? It just shouldn't be. It's confusing. And buying a car in this country is confusing enough.
Super.
Okay? Well, we've made it confusing. The FTC is trying to do things about it.
We're trying to do things about it.
The dealer associations are trying to keep any change from happening. MSRP should be MSRP. It should not suddenly become TSRP. Okay. Well, why is it TSRP here, but it's MSRP? It should be mandated by law that it has to say on the window sticker, manufacturer suggested retail price. Cut out that crap of trying to rename it if you're a dealer or a manufacturer, and just do what we've been doing for the past 50 years and leave it at manufacturer suggested retail price, and know that it's just a suggestion. Okay. It's not a manufacturer's retail price. It's not a manufacturer's selling price, unless you're Tesla or Rivian.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
At those points, the
point of this was we're taking a stand because again, I've become inundated by this. I'm sure if you knew how to check your Instagram DMs, you would see this.
What are those?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just want to make that clear. Well, jump to the chat here, and then we have 3 really interesting stories that all share a connection to them. We've got from Car Questions Answered. Ray.
Yes.
You can be a fractional grandfather to my son.
So I have to put him in the will? but only fractionally.
And then we've got here from
He would get a
Carla.
fraction of what the rest get. I like that, Brandon. Thank you. And
Thank you,
and if
Brandon.
if my children don't do anything
That's-
about it, I'll take you up on it.
Carla wants to know, do you think brands will offer more competitive lease deals in the near future? I think it's an easy answer.
Well, if it can bring the monthly payment down, then yes. And many of the brands, well, I won't say many, but Toyota for one has said, my God, we let our leasing penetration slip to a ridiculously low number because, well, they haven't been supporting the lease programs. Well, one of the things you want to do if you're a manufacturer is you want to have the ability to bring your customers back every 3 years or shorter if you do a 24-month lease, whatever it is. So Toyota said they were going to start investing more money in leasing again. Yeah, I think I would hope that more and more manufacturers would do that. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like leasing, don't fully understand leasing, just think of leasing as a rental. Now, truth be told, if they do away with your ability to be able to buy your lease at the end of the lease, then yeah, that's not really a lease. That's just a long-term rental. Okay. But if in the past, you had options at the end of the lease. And one of the options was that if it was the greatest car you ever owned, that you could buy it for the residual amount. Now, for the past 2 years, the residual amounts have been anywhere from 25 to 35% below what the real market value of the vehicle was. So why wouldn't you want to buy it if you're buying it at a 25 or 35% discount?
Yep.
Typically, the residual was more than what the value would be, but that option for a lease should remain on the table. If they take that option away, then it merely becomes a long-term rental.
Just to be very clear, Tesla does not allow you to purchase your vehicle at the end of a lease. Ford on electric vehicles does not allow you. Double check your lease contract. Most still do allow you to purchase your vehicle at the end of a lease. The question was, though, do we think we are going to see an influx in lease deals? And I think
you will, because you need to do something that helps bring the payment down.
2 reasons. One is for all the payment shoppers, which is most of humanity.
People, yes.
The other is lease deals have been trashed for the past 2 years. So they're going to look at their portfolios and say, oh, we want more people to lease. So I think you're right.
Well, yeah, and they're going to want, because they want those people to come back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's come to the chat here, Pops. Yeah. And then we've got 3 stories you need to stick around for. They are all very interesting.
James Baldwin. You were
James,
a hell of a writer.
Thank you for the contribution. We greatly appreciate. From Robert Glass. Thank you for the contribution. Yeah. Car Questions Answer just dropped a video doing dealership blitz and rebates and inventory are coming back. I think Brandon's onto something. Yeah. We see the inventory data. One of the big things with the CarEdge platform is that when you're searching for a car on CarEdge, I will show this to everyone. Like we are seeing the inventory coming back, and we are starting to see the rebates. We just recently, did the deal with a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealership, our sales event, and there were huge rebates there. On every single vehicle, when you use our car search, we give you the market days supply. How many are for sale? How many have sold in the last 45 days? You can run CarEdge reports for all these vehicles and get market conditions. So, Brandon over at Car Questions Answered is spot on. Inventory is building back up.
Yes, it is.
Enough to offset things. That's the whole first 30 minutes of tonight's show. From Act My Age.
Thank you,
Thank you for the thoughtful contribution.
Yes.
I will buy you ice cream with this.
Wow. Okay.
I must be from another planet. I'm 63, employed, never owned a new car. Daily driver is a 99 Jeep Wrangler. Alternate is a 1994 Jeep Wrangler. Backup is an 88 Chevy Corsica.
Wow.
I'd rather deal with an occasional repair than monthly bleeding money.
Well, good for you. I mean, but Act My Age, that's you. I don't want to suggest you're abnormal, but you are an anomaly.
Yep.
In the way the society in this country treats cars and car purchases.
Yeah, those people are.
You're like my brother.
Yeah, you're like
Kenny. Uncle Kenny. He's presently driving a 2003 Ford something Focus, maybe, I don't know.
No, it's not a Focus.
Whatever it is, it's a little. But he's been driving it for 20 years. His previous car from that was like a Mazda GLC that he had for 20 some years.
I don't even know what that is.
So it's a Ford GT. I don't know. It was a little thing. It was a little car. It wasn't the Freestyle. It was a little car.
I don't know. Yeah, he's driving something tiny.
Yeah, it was. And so, yeah, you're like my brother. But the industry doesn't survive on people like you and my brother.
That's why you see the Super Bowl ads and the big marketing pushes to sell people the. Shannon, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Shannon.
Great show. Referring to the earlier topic, it's called instant gratification or keeping up with the Joneses. See it all the time. Yes. Act my age. You do not suffer from instant gratification or keeping up with the Joneses. No, Shannon is spot on for all of humanity. For the rest of humanity, excuse me.
Act my age would rather thumb his nose to the Joneses and say, hey, hey, I'm car rich. I'm cash rich. I got money because look what I drive. Yes, an Escort GT.
Escort GT.
Yes, that's what it was. And it was either, I don't know, was it a 2001 or a 2000, whatever it is.
It looks like this. Let me pull it up on the screen for everyone. This is what your brother drives.
And he's still driving it. And he, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it only has about 38 or 39,000 miles on it. So, yeah, I am the opposite of my brother.
Yeah.
If you were to see the two of us, first of all, you'd never say they're brothers. And then the way we live our lives, you would never think for a moment that we're related.
We'll get him on YouTube before too long. We'll have to.
Well, yeah, because he's going to be 81 in November. So we got to do it before too long.
Yeah, we do. All right, Pops, let's switch gears.
Yes.
There were 3 stories on the homepage of Automotive News today. And I'm going to be really clear here.
Yes.
Not all car dealers are bad car dealers. One of the biggest initiatives we're currently working on is building out a trusted dealer network, a CarEdge trusted dealer network, where we pre-negotiate prices with dealers. We host these CarEdge sales events. We train their staff. We help them out. We help them.
We even train ownership.
We train ownership.
It's not staff. Yeah, it trickles down to the staff, but it starts with the ownership.
Okay, so there are some really great people out there. That being said,
yes,
it was incredible this morning when you go on the industry publication Automotive News.
Yes,
and 3 of the stories on the homepage were these. We'll start with this one. We're just going to do headlines first.
Yes.
Former Red Rock GMC finance director arrested for identity theft. And then you go to the next one, Dad. And the next one is former North Carolina Ford dealership employee accused of embezzlement. And the last but not least, North Carolina Nissan dealership employees face more than 400 criminal charges.
Yes. Those are examples of 3 dealerships that only hire the best people.
All right, so I want to be
or the best people they can find.
I want to be very clear. One of the initiatives we have here at CarEdge, if you go under resources and you go to the community forum, and on the community forum, not only can you see, ask questions, which I encourage everyone to do. We have an incredibly robust, nearly 30,000 people on here. Sure, you can read success stories, but you can also click on dealer tags. Dealer tags are where folks share experiences with dealers that they think you should avoid.
Yes.
We do not validate or confirm this information. This is just a public forum for people to share information. These would be 3 dealers that would end up on the dealer tags to say, don't go to these dealerships. But let's break down what happened at these 3 different dealerships. That Red Rock GMC's former finance director was charged with forgery, identity theft, and the intent to defraud and criminal impersonation.
You're going to get charged. Might as well go big.
This one was at Red Rock GMC in Grand Junction, Colorado. The finance and insurance director, so that's your F&I manager. Impersonation after she allegedly pretended to be a customer seeking financing on a call to a credit union.
Yes.
You're not allowed to do that, are you?
Yeah. Well, Tiff, you shouldn't have done that.
She was arrested on August 7th for allegedly providing false information on a credit application for personal gain.
Yes.
The case comes 6 months after Red Rock Auto Group hired a former Colorado Board of Revenue investigator to oversee compliance.
Yes, after the state investigated its finance and insurance and advertising practices. So they're trying to become a compliant dealer.
Look at this, Dad.
Yeah.
The case began in September 2022 when two customers went to Red Rock GMC to purchase a 2017 Dodge Durango. Shortly after, the customers received a call from Canvas Credit Union to confirm information on their loan app. The credit union told the customers they previously spoke with a man and woman claiming to be the buyers who had Red Rock's phone number listed on their credit app. The female customer said she was not a part of any such phone conversation. She said Miller's coworker, finance salesman Matthew Morris, was sending applications to more lenders to secure funding for their purchase.
Yeah.
No bueno.
You know, the best part is,
What's that?
she applied for a job, I think, at a police department or something. Scroll down, and she even lied on her employment application.
Oh gosh.
Keep scrolling down. Okay.
Right there, Dad.
Yeah. Another issue involving Miller and Red Rock was that a dealership employee who allegedly falsified information on an employment application Miller submitted to the Montrose Police Department seeking work after she left the dealership. The application said she left Red Rock because, well, the commute was too long. Yeah, it would be from prison. There was no mention of her being fired and why she had been fired. So apparently, just being charged hasn't taught her enough lessons to stop the nonsense. And
all right, then we've got former North Carolina Ford dealership
Yes.
employee accused of embezzlement. The former employee is accused of 3 separate embezzlement charges, each in excess of $100,000, according to the Craven County Sheriff's Department. Here we go. Rebecca Thorne is accused of embezzling funds well in excess of $300,000 from Riverside Ford. The sheriff's office, which helped conduct the investigation, said Thorne worked as a human resource accounting clerk at the store.
I don't know what the heck that is.
I don't know what that is either. As you can imagine, the legal process is lengthy, and until there's been an adjudication, until it has been adjudicated, no one from our organization is authorized to comment. McFadden said the dealership noticed bank deposit irregularities and reported it to the sheriff's department, prompting an investigation. They compared the corporation bank deposit records with the financial books from the specific dealership and identified that embezzlement occurred over a period between December of 2018 and March of 2023. This woman was indicted for 3 separate counts of embezzlement in excess of $100,000. Then you've got that. Again, these are 3 headlines in the industry publication.
Yes.
North Carolina Nissan dealership employees face more than 400 criminal charges. The misdemeanor charges primarily stem from vehicles that were allegedly offered for sale without Nissan of Shelby disclosing their salvage status and from the documentation used to transfer their titles.
Yeah, the good news is that the general manager that commented on this has now been on the job for 3 weeks, because the previous general manager, well, he's the previous general manager who oversaw a lot of this nonsense that was going on. It is from someone who spent 43 years in the industry. It is sickening when stuff like this happens. And I can tell you, when I was at Admiral Nissan here in Pleasantville, New Jersey, we had somebody working in the accounting department that falsified records and wrote checks to pay off invoices that came in that were fabricated invoices, and he cashed the checks. He also, since I had signing authority for checks, he forged my signature on the checks. So even though there are a lot of dealerships that try and do things the right way and hire the right people, sometimes, try as you might, you end up hiring somebody that you shouldn't have.
There's also a ton of turnover.
Oh, in the industry, yes.
Yeah, in the industry in general. And so you get people in the door, and it's hard to.
Yes, yeah. I told you that story when I was at the mini dealership, and we had a finance manager that gave a customer a receipt on the back of his credit card for the cash that the customer had given us as a deposit, and then we never saw that finance manager again. I mean, he just left that day, and we could never find him. That stuff happens, and it's not. It's unfortunate. But everybody within the store has to do their due diligence, and they have to keep an eye on everything that's going on. And it's hard. You spent several days the past couple weeks up at Island.
CDJR and
Yeah,
Super.
and you see how crazy
Oh,
a
how hectic
dealership
and busy
can
it is.
be.
Yeah.
So there just needs to be better employees, better control of the employees, and realistically a better process for how dealerships are run and cars are sold, so that you don't run into these type of issues.
All right, here's the deal, folks. My dad just mentioned it. We did our first ever CarEdge sales event. We are professionals here, gang. I am Zach Shefska. My dad is Ray Shefska. We're over on LinkedIn. Here was the post over on LinkedIn. And I preface this with, if you are someone who works in a car dealership and you're interested in working with us, caredge.com/join. Fill in the brief application or just email me directly, Zach at caredge.com. My heart is full. This past weekend, Ray Shefska and I hosted our first ever CarEdge sales event with our partners at Island Auto Group. We met over 100 CarEdge community members and helped Island have one of their most productive and successful days ever. By partnering with CarEdge, Island Auto Group cemented their commitment to fairness, transparency, and efficiency. For the event, CarEdge pre-negotiated prices and trained Island's team on one-price selling. It was an incredible success and a breakthrough moment for the New York City market. We demonstrated that you can sell cars by leading with transparency. Island won customers for life, and CarEdge demonstrated the power of our core values. To the countless community members who came to the event, thank you. We are nothing without our community. We work to serve you. To the owners over at Island Auto, thank you. I admire and respect your willingness to partner with us. You are risk takers who are committed to the right values, and I'm proud to work with you. To the members of the CarEdge team who helped make this happen, I'm indebted to you. Thank you for your efforts. We couldn't have accomplished this without you. And stay tuned. This is just the beginning of us trying to bring our mission into the actual dealership. Chandler's experience here, Dad, was just awesome. I'm going to take a moment and just read this really quickly. Actually, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read the end here. Max, who was the sales manager, mentioned his goal is to change all the stigma attached to car sales, and I can definitely vouch that he is well on the way to making that a reality. I will no doubt continue to spread the word in my circle about my experience. Key takeaway, there was transparency and efficiency of the process, no shadow games like other dealers, no waiting for over an hour to do everything, and nothing changed between the first conversation.
That's the way it should be.
So proud. So proud. So as we're talking about, we're kind of throwing a little bit of shade at 3 headlines in the industry publication for all the illegal crap that goes on at dealerships. There are great dealers out there, and we are making it our responsibility to identify them and to bring them into our network. And if they're not in that network, then we don't recommend doing business with them because we don't know them.
Yeah.
All right, here from Mark Pops. Thank you for the contribution, Mark. Great content. Just got a new Bronco Sport Heritage Edition. Thanks for all your help. Got a good deal.
Glad to hear it.
Love hearing that.
Yes.
Absolutely love hearing that.
And I'm so thrilled you didn't ask me to review the deal after the fact.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be good.
All right, we'll ask one final question to Pops.
Yeah.
Zach, ask your father if he paid local radio stations to come out and do live remotes.
Absolutely. Yeah. We did several live remotes. I remember one time we did a live remote at our it was a GMC and Buick store. Buick, GMC, and Suzuki. And
that's a weird mix.
Yeah. And it was a miserable rainy day at the shore. But according to our live remote at our little spot on the Black Horse Pike in West Atlantic City, it was sunny and savings were happening.
So yes, he's done.
Yes,
he's done live remotes.
Lots of live radio remotes. It was always fun. And basically, you know, what we did last Saturday when we did the live stream for 6+ hours.
That was a live remote.
Yeah, but the difference is when they did live radio remotes, they would play music. Okay, and every 15 or 20 minutes, they'd check in with the disc jockey that was at the live remote, and you know, he'd talk for a minute or two, and then they'd go back to playing music. It wasn't like me who had
6.5 hours of talking,
sitting there talking. God, yeah, I learned a lesson.
All right, friendly reminder, all of our various resources, we know they can be hard to find, are back at caredge.com. Some are free, some are paid. The services, like working with our incredible team, the CarEdge coach, for example, you do have to pay for that. Maximize your savings with unlimited access to a CarEdge coach. You can come here and you can watch some testimonials, and learn about how we're here to help you with experts, real, true human beings that are on your side. We offer CarEdge Coach. We also offer the consult calls. All the various resources are under the resource tab or the tools
Don't
tab.
forget free data.
The free data is under free data. The guides are under guides. The dealer reviews are under dealer reviews. Deal school is under deal school, excuse me. The car search is under the car search. Like, again, please go yourself.
Figure all the stuff's where it's supposed to be.
Avail yourself of all that information. All right, Pops, everyone enjoy their Saturday night. We'll be back on Monday.
Yes.
On the Ray and Zach channel.
Yes. At something like noon Eastern.
Yeah, we'll be on at noon Eastern on the Ray and Zach channel.
Yeah.
Very curious to read the comments on today's stream. I'll be very curious. I'll check in about an hour because we have very different takes on this.
Yes.
But the information, I think we did a good job tonight surfacing the information so that people can form their own take, and I'm proud of that.
I mean, we just because we don't think the same doesn't mean that we can't have the conversation.
It's a great conversation.
Yeah.
We've got here, I just want to do it because Colin says, can you do a future session on asking for a pre-purchase inspection? Great show. Thank you, Mike. Colin, I just want to demonstrate because we do these shows for, an hour or so. I'm just going to show everyone here. There's too much. We've built too much and it's hard to find it all. So Colin, when you go to the website, if you go to resources and then free guides, and then if you scroll down here, there's a search and do pre-purchase inspection, or guys and gals, I encourage you, just Google search whatever keyword term, space CarEdge. In this, if I'm not mistaken, wait for it. This has sections. What is a pre-purchase inspection? When should I get a pre-purchase inspection? Where can I get a pre-purchase inspection? What should be inspected? How much does a pre-purchase inspection cost and who pays it? Like, this is all right here. So please, whether we
believe that's
and
free,
the videos there and everything. So please, Google search whatever you're looking for, space CarEdge, and it should show up. Or
more
just
than
do
likely.
we just did it there. Cool. We were able to help call it out. All right. Everyone have a good night.
You too.
Don't drink and drive.
I won't. I'm not driving anywhere today.
Drink some more water. Wait, we're not ending the show till you finish your water. Okay, that was a big sip. All right, good night, everyone.
See everybody. I got water on my glasses now.